This podcast is sponsored by CDO Group, the industry leader in providing a full range of construction and project management services. CDO Group has managed thousands of projects in all 50 states. Their group of experts provides systems, processes, and procedures to make sure that your projects turn over on time and on budget every single time. With over 24 years of experience, CDO Group is the industry's leader in construction management and general contracting services. To find them, go to cdogroup.com. Hi, and welcome to the Future of Development podcast. My name's Anthony Amunategui, and I'm here to inspire people to find amazing careers in the construction development world. If you like our podcast, please make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. If you really like our podcast, make sure you hit the little bell. Welcome to the Future Development Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Amunategui, and today I am talking to the legendary, the one and only Andy Rebhun. Andy is a widely successful global marketing executive and the current Vice President of Digital Officer at El Pollo Loco. El Pollo Loco, did I say that? One of the nation's leading restaurant brands. Andy's marketing expertise has delivered first-to-market products for global companies such as McDonald's, Ford Motor Company. He is a franchisee expert. His experience and knowledge with putting together franchise groups, achieving unprecedented growth, sales, and profitability. At El Pollo Loco, Andy's responsible for CRM, e-commerce, the company's off-premise delivery, and loyalty programs, just to name a couple of things that he does over there, just to name a few, right? He's earned a bachelor's degree at the University of Wisconsin. Also, he comes from the Kellogg School of Business Management. Andy currently lives in California, and he does everything magically California, things like hanging out on the beach, having lots of fun, looking good too. Andy, welcome to the show. Excited to have you.
Andy, well, welcome to the show. As always, it's exciting to have you on here and really get to know you a little bit better and the stuff that you're doing. Let's take a second and go backwards. You know, you've got an amazing career, and the different brands you've been with, they're all really exciting. Let's just tell the audience a little bit more about that and kind of get them into where you've come from.
Absolutely. So thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate you considering me for the opportunity here. I started my career with Ford Motor Company in 2008. I literally graduated from University of Wisconsin-Madison, and about a week later, I was working for the Blue Oval. I was with Ford for 5 years in a variety of marketing and sales roles in consumer marketing and tech, product marketing. I tried to figure out what Anthony wanted on his vehicle within the next 7 to 10 years. So very futuristic, forward-looking type of role. Had an opportunity to then transition from Mustangs to McNuggets. Started my career with McDonald's in the Northeast. I was in Boston for about 2 years. Had an opportunity to be employee number 4 on McDonald's US digital team, where essentially I launched a lot of the technologies you see in the restaurant today: mobile order pay, kiosk, McDelivery, et cetera. And then my final position with McDonald's, I was the marketing officer for the Southeast and had the opportunity to work with franchisees in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, and really kind of redefine the consumer and marketing experience. I had the honor and privilege of going to Kellogg School of Management for about 2 years, from 2018 to 2019. And now most recently, current role, I work and live in LA. I'm the Vice President and Digital Officer for El Pollo Loco, where I'm in charge of leading the digital transformation for the organization. I manage our customer loyalty program, off-premise delivery, social media, anything digital media, e-commerce, you name it. And it's kind of been a fun ride, 7 cities in 11 years, and just keep trucking.
I remember I had hit 11 different moves for the companies I'd worked for before I started CDO Group, and I feel like that was what really created who I am, right? Everything I learned was from, great companies. I always got these great promotions, and, just being interactive with big brands gave me some, I got to learn on their dollar, for sure. I remember the first time I dealt with McDonald's, I was working for a company called Discovery Zone, and we had bought leaps and bounds from them. And, that was Discovery Zone's big competitor, was leaps and bounds. And then we got into that, and, that working with McDonald's was a great experience. I just, the way their teams work, the interaction, and a lot of who we are today, who CDO Group is, from the interaction I had with some of the great people over at McDonald's when we started. So, a lot of that, going through those experiences gives us, that's the flavor or the training that we get to be the guys we are today.
Absolutely. I think that the foundational elements of career building were definitely at Ford and McDonald's. I think there's a number of talented people in both those organizations, and you really build your skill set there. You have the ability, like you said, to learn. You really get the ability to kind of test and be able to be a part of the future. And when you work at companies like Ford and McDonald's, you really can redefine kind of the future of the experience for the industry. When you have that type of opportunity, you can really learn very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Learning on their dollar, and the thing is, I don't think that at the time I realized where that was going to go, right? I took on this job as a junior coordinator for Discovery Zone, and had no idea that one day I was going to be an accountant. I thought, well, I'll take this job for a little bit, kind of fun to go work for a company that makes playgrounds for kids, but I'm going to be an accountant one day. All of a sudden, 30 years later, I look back and I'm like, I've been doing construction for 30 years, and never imagined the day I took that job that I would end up here. And it's kind of funny how life unfolds, right? You get into something, and at Ford, you go from Mustangs to McNuggets. That transition, right? I love that line, from Mustangs to McNuggets. You don't realize that there's some service to the job that you have today, taking out Pollo Loco into that digital transformation.
For sure, absolutely, completely agree.
So as you look at Pollo Loco now, right? You've got the strategy you're looking at, and you're going, all right, I got to start to transform them into where the future is going, and certainly that is happening faster than ever before. The digital platforms, the consumer is changing. The pandemic really changed and maybe even accelerated a lot of that opportunity. How do you start to build the framework? Because as fast as you're building it, it's changing.
It's funny. I think one of the biggest things is you kind of come into a new organization, you get a little bit of a better understanding of what the key priorities are for the company. And then you kind of take what you've learned. And, I took what I learned from Ford and McDonald's and really try to build just some best practices for our organization. I think, one of the fascinating things, you come in the first 90 days, and one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle, which was our customer loyalty program, there were a lot of concerns from our entire senior leadership team with that program. And that was kind of like the backbone and kind of the center core of our digital flywheel. And the loyalty program was underperforming. There wasn't profitability in the program. We didn't have segmentation. A lot of, I think, the key foundational elements of what you need for a, best in class loyalty program were just not present. And, you really try to go into an organization and try to build and get some little bets going where you try to win quickly, or if you fail, you lose fast, but you don't, lose a lot in terms of the financial investment. And I think for us as an organization, it took a lot of partnership with operations, IT, finance to really kind of accelerate where we were looking to go for the organization. And I think the loyalty program is one example. We launched curbside pickup. We expanded our partnership with off-premise delivery providers. We launched an e-gift card program. We did drone delivery. So, there's been a number of initiatives, I think, over the course of the last 2 years that have kind of put El Pollo Loco in a really strong foundational place to compete with a lot of the other players in the QSR industry, and kind of do some things that are unique and true to us. And it's always great to be able to do things quickly. And I think that's one of the benefits of sometimes working at a smaller organization is, I go to my boss, the CEO or the CFO, and you kind of lay out the vision, and very quickly, you can get an answer. It's not mired in 6, 12, 24 months of bureaucracy. And it's super cool that, they believe in the vision that, I've been able to collectively work with my peers on in other departments at the organization.
Yeah, I think that's big, right? As you start to really hone in on each department's, because that's ultimately what's going to make the success. You've got to get total buy-in from the group, right? How many initiatives have you gone off on where it's a great idea in your head, but if they don't buy into it, it's hard to really make it successful. And, especially with customer loyalty, right? There's so many different things that so many levers that you can pull on that. Where do you start with that? Where did you start? What was your kind of fundamental belief in the system?
I think the biggest thing is understanding who your customers are and what they like and dislike with your program. And one of the things that I share is, call it a little bit non-traditional, but one of the first things I did within my first 30 days at the company was I called up our 50 best loyalty customers on the phone. And I said, hey, what's working? What do you really like about the program? Where do we need to do better? What other loyalty programs do you spend a lot of time with? What are you liking that they're doing or they're executing against? And I think sometimes, when you look at the approach with how you approach a loyalty program, it's very formulaic in nature. Everybody's like, oh, just send out a survey, look at the data. But sometimes spending those quality moments with some of your best customers, and even some of the customers who you want to visit more, there's a lot of potential with them based off of their visit history. I think sometimes they really appreciate when you make that gesture to call them on the phone and just really show the tender, loving care that I think sometimes organizations of larger size just don't really think about doing. And it really made a really big impact for us. And then I think the second phase was, really trying to understand the data. So looking at email open rates, looking at average check and spend lift, looking to see what types of frequency metrics customers had. Were there different offers that we had in place that kind of destabilized the restaurant operations a little bit? And it really allowed us to kind of take a step back and go back to the drawing board and really try to figure out how we kind of come together with a best-in-class loyalty program. And the organization was really humbled in February, March time period. We were named as one of Newsweek's top 10 loyalty programs in America, which is super cool. And we're super humbled by that.
Right.
And, it just really shows how far we've come and how far we've taken the program.
I was just with a group of estimators in our company, and I'm looking at them going, all right, guys, we were having some issues with some bids and some places we were losing it. And we've got this whole technology piece that we use for setting out bids and sending it out. And exactly what you were just talking about, getting on the phone and talking to the bidders and going, all right, what did you see when we sent this to you? What did you see? Right? Not what we think we're seeing, but really getting on the phone and actually talking that part about us that ultimately helps us weigh how we're thinking about things. Because there's one thing that we do is think about it over here, right? Mm-hmm. But then when you get them on the phone and talk to them and go, all right, how is that actually presenting itself on your side? And we start to realize, yeah, we're kind of cold by the way we do this. They don't really remember working with us, the team that we work with. And right now they're getting faced with all these other bid platforms that people are coming after them for. The good bidders and the good clients that are out there are getting attacked by this stuff. So how is my interaction getting and landing in that perception? I think that's an interesting part where you, the head of the department, get on the phone and start calling the individuals. I think that's a really neat piece right there. Get down and dirty and ultimately at the end, help you look at the matrix that you have and give you a little bit more of a piece of going, all right, I'm actually looking at right, or I'm not looking at right. Let's make a little adjustment the way we think about this.
Yeah. And I think the other big thing too, is looking at El Pollo Loco on its best day and looking at El Pollo Loco on its worst day. Because the other thing you want to try to get underneath too is, you look at the customer complaints, whether it be an issue that they had with the app, an issue that they had with the restaurant team, an issue that they had with just their overall order. And putting yourself in the customer's shoes is really key to a customer-centric organization and really trying to differentiate yourself from your competitors, trying to really understand where the pain points are in the operation and really try to take action on that and take action quickly.
Yeah, no, getting down where they're at that's a great piece. I love that. So, you and I talked about as you start to work on these customer digital interactions, really creating a frictionless experience, right? I mean, we're seeing the kiosks, we're seeing the online ordering, we're seeing order from your phone. You can really start to predict that the future will be so much more, intuitive. So talk a little bit about that. How are you seeing the frictionless technology transaction come into play?
Look, we want to make it easier for our consumers, period. And I think one of the biggest pain points that consumers have is when they have to order differently based off of the channel that they're ordering from. And I think one of the things that we've started to make progress on, I don't think we're entirely there yet, is really building what that journey looks like, whether it be ordering from our website, ordering from our app, ordering from a third-party delivery company, but doing so in a way where a consumer can come back and say, wow, that really made a difference. That saved me 2 or 3 minutes, or, that was really easy to do. I can check out with one click. I think some of the best companies in the world, when you think about frictionless convenience, and I'm just going to probably go to the two that, many would probably think of right away, but like Amazon and Netflix. Amazon has the feature where if you see something you like, you can just order it with one click, right? Think about how many steps consumers go through to try to check out a product. I mean, they're looking at the price, they're looking at the tax, but if you know you want it and you just want to push the button and check out quickly, like a 3 to 5 second experience, that's what they solve for. And I think same thing with Netflix. Like they have now come up with algorithms based off of your viewing history to try to recommend shows that, they think you'd like based off of what you've done in the past. And I think, that's genius because it keeps people kind of attached to the product. It kind of convinces them to come back for more. And, that's kind of how we have to be. I mean, we're a mid-sized restaurant brand, mid-sized restaurant chain. We want to try to figure out how we can continue to innovate at the level that some of the big players are innovating at. And I think one of the things you'll see is if we're not leading the space, we're going to be a fast follower. That's the commitment we have to our customers. And that's the commitment I made to my CEO and the board.
I think that's phenomenal. Do you remember the first time you ordered on Amazon? Like it's the first time I questioned everything. Look at the delivery. Oh my God, the thing and the tax and today, if I don't swipe order now a few times a day, I try to bunch them up so I can kind of do one basket a day if I can, but that doesn't happen. It's so easy for me to I need something. I order before I forget. And then I got got these batteries on the door over here that if I don't change a battery, you can't get in the house, right? All of a sudden I'm going to climb in a window. So as soon as I hear beep and boom, order, it's a special battery. Then it takes a couple seconds, reorder it. But I find myself doing that all day long, and as the same thing happens with the restaurant world, right? Mm-hmm. As we start to look at it and go, all right, how do I make this interaction that much easier? You can really start to see, how lunch can happen easier, how I can make that whole delivery happen, in between calls. And, where before it was real hard to hunt, find, get, how do you make it so it's just that order now, right?
But I think one of the other things that I'm just going to take away from your example with the batteries is with Amazon, there's now the subscribe and save, right? And so like Anthony knows every single, call it 6 to 8 months, he's going to need to change his batteries. So like, let's take that pain point off of what's going on in his brain. Let's push add to cart or create a subscription, and then it's just automatically shipping to you. And again, that whole notion of giving people subscription savings. So if you have less than 6 items, I think it's 5%. If it's 6 or more, it's 15% off you get by regularly having that subscription. And again, it's ease of mind. It's ease of knowing that it's going to come on a regular basis. And I think, the best companies like Amazon just try to figure out how can they continue to grow sales and eliminate customer pain points. And I think the 2 examples we talked about are just 2 really good examples of kind of how Amazon leads the charge in the e-commerce space.
I love that subscribe and save. Yeah, it makes my life. Toilet paper, paper towels. The one who always got me was, we got a cleaning lady come. We have no cleaning supplies. Right. And it's in the middle of the morning, I'm going to work or something else. And she's coming in again. All right. Now it's all set up. I love that convenience of it. Now, every once in a while we get a little backed up, and I got to remember to turn it off for a second because, in the middle of the pandemic, we had a backup of the paper towels and stuff. And all of a sudden we got them all at one time. And there was, I don't know, we had a closet full of them. But it was fun. So the all of that transactions happening, you're right. It made it so much easier for me to interact with it. I don't have to go to the stores often, and I get what I need. And that you can see how that's changing over there. How about, are you seeing stuff that's happening with, how is mobile apping and the interaction with the actual restaurant when you're ordering in store? How's that changing?
Yeah, I think initially we had kind of like what I would call a little bit of a lower penetration rate with mobile and digital orders. I think the pandemic accelerated a lot of that progress a lot quicker than I think, we had on our roadmap, but, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I think what that did was by building in repetition and processes to our restaurant staff, I think they became more tech savvy, better digital executors as a result of just having that frequency on a regular basis. And when you think about the digital channels that we have available today, there's obviously the mobile order ahead, mobile order pay that we have through our app. We have the curbside where a customer can pull up onto our lot within 90 to 120 seconds. They will bring the food to the vehicle. And then you can obviously order and pick it up in the drive-through as well. And then you also have the ordering delivery from marketplaces. So there's a lot of digital channels that are coming into the restaurant today. And I think, our restaurant teams have done a great job of adapting, because I think traditionally we were kind of seen more as a dine-in restaurant chain. We had a all-you-can-eat salsa bar that we had available at all our restaurants, temporarily, obviously unavailable. But I think that, you want to continue to provide that experience that you provide in restaurant digitally. And, that's a big thing for us, is obviously just making sure that, we can continue to deliver the hot fire grilled chicken that people come to love. The salsas are in there, as many as they've requested on their digital and mobile order. We have accuracy. And then one of the other big things that we've changed just in terms of that mobile order and delivery experience is we put it in a tamper-proof sealed delivery bag. And, that was another thing that we identified very early on in our digital transformation journey, that we wanted to try to figure out a way that we could differentiate ourselves from our competitors. Food delivery, one of those things people are, concerned about is reaching into the bag, tampering with the food. And that's one of the things that we just gained from customer insights, customer feedback. And, huge credit to our supply chain team for really being able to execute on that quickly. And I think we have a best-in-class product, which I couldn't be more happy with.
No, for sure. I always wondered how the delivery guys don't go in there and steal. I mean, especially when I can't imagine being in a car with that fire grilled chicken and, your product, it does have a great smell to it. We had some barbecue delivered last night, and they had a great bag. It was really, it sold it had some real brand identity. It really, spoke to their product, and it had a great tamper-proof bag, which, as soon as you open that thing up, you could just, smell the beautiful barbecue that was in there. I think that's a great piece, right? Starting to get smarter and smarter, and use that as a marketing piece at the same time, and have it be just an extension of what the in-store communication tools. And, I think as we continue to see this evolution, right, those are the places where what was a hassle becomes an opportunity, right?
For sure.
Think we look at that all day long, and look at places where, in a process, this seems really, really rough, or even where we made a mistake. Now we go find a solution that really creates a great opportunity for my interaction with the customer that I didn't have before. All of a sudden you start seeing your delivery bags in places. You're like, wow, someone's got our delivery bag and they're using it for something else, or those spots where it becomes just another part of your brand identity at their home.
Completely agree.
Yeah, that's fun. The line I always love to use is, whenever they created Uber, whenever the cars came out, you couldn't have imagined Uber, right? You just couldn't imagine that Uber thing. And I think that's what's happening today. As we continue to see all of these evolutions of technology, the changes and of the curbside, the ordering ahead of time, we're starting to notice, a different space, different opportunities for us to change. And, how do with all the opportunities that are out there, how do you continuously, keep looking ahead and stay in that space of, you yourself, right? I mean, you've gone through a lot, right? How do you continuously keep poking yourself to go, all right, I'm not settling on where you're at as good, and continue to challenge yourself?
Yeah, I think, being cognizant of the brands that are traditionally leading the space in terms of technology progress is very key. Three that just come to top of mind right away are Chipotle, Sweetgreen, and Starbucks. I think the experiences that they've built digitally speak for themselves. It's really, again, it gets back to that frictionless convenience, keeping customers engaged, encouraging them to come back, and building a process that really excites them and makes it easy for them. I regularly audit some of the best performers in the QSR space. So I try to get a sense of directionally where they're placing their strategic investments, because I think for me, they get it right most of the time. I don't think they always get it right, but I think for the majority of cases, they do get it right. And I think that, you can also take what they've done, iterate, or just get another idea based off of what you're seeing them doing. And so, I keep some of those top players in the QSR industry that have a reputation for doing great things digitally as kind of the forefront of how I view the space. And then, quite honestly, all of us in the QSR community, especially those in digital, speak relatively often. And despite being competitors, I think we share kind of that same common desire to try to transform what we're doing in each of our individual organizations. So I think there's obviously this fun competitive side, but also we love to learn from one another.
That was something that completely changed it used to be the interaction I had at Chipotle was you pull up, you've got this interaction with the employee there, and it was a shell bowl. And as you went down that line, you had an experience there that really spoke to fresh. You could see them cutting stuff in the back. But today with third-party delivery, my kids want Chipotle. I can hit it on the app, pass it around the house. Food can be delivered while we're handling homework or whatever else is going on in the house. And, I get a great delivery product. And you're right. It's phenomenal how that whole transaction has changed. And actually, rarely have I been back into a store now. Now it's so easy. It actually made it almost so convenient. You can see now there's brands out there that are working on delivery locations only, right? Spending, we were talking about a brand that was on the East Coast that does these $500,000 and $800,000 pizza restaurants, and they're spending real key money on a couple of key locations, but then augmenting them with things like food trucks, using third level real estate places like in the back of a mall that just servicing for big parking lots, easy access, third party delivery type spaces that are dramatic. Instead of spending the $500,000 a copy for a key location, this is just a service location, and still getting that delivery setup available.
Yeah, I think brands are getting smarter and smarter with kind of accessing different types of retail spaces that could be made available either via ghost kitchen or virtual restaurant. And I like also what you said about you and your family at Chipotle. I think one of the things, like if I was an outsider looking in, which I am, about the Chipotle example is, you think about their peak ordering periods where you traditionally during lunch spend, call it 10 to 20 minutes waiting in line, but people waited in line because they knew what they were getting. They knew it was a quality product. But then, this whole digital demand thing set off a big change in the way that they did things. They had a second order line that they now have in all of their restaurants that essentially had the ability to keep up with the capacity of the demand that they were receiving. And then I think the other big thing too is they created an experience that was very similar to the type of experience you'd go through in their restaurant. So when you pull up the app, you kind of go through all the different stations that you'd go through at Chipotle. So it's great. And I had a funny Chipotle experience very early on in my life. I was a master burrito ambassador. I had my MBA from Chipotle in college. I worked for them for 3 years, and it's just funny how things have changed, because at that time we were talking about fax and order forms for catering for lunch. So it's just amazing to see just how that chain has evolved over time.
Great. It's amazing. We've worked for them for years, and it is one of my favorite clients to work for. Just their evolution, their success, the way they execute on their product, all the things they've gone through and really taught themselves and the restaurant industry new and smarter ways of handling food and their customer and just the way they do stuff. It's fun to watch their evolution. It's fun to watch all the brands we go through and work with. Watching those evolutions as I look back and go, wow, where we're going excites me. The continuous change in the world. I am continuously excited by the new opportunities that are out there. If we wanted to get to a point where something your biggest forecast of the future, if you wanted to put something out there, where do you see it going?
Well, I think that you're definitely going to see the restaurant space use artificial intelligence technology, machine learning a lot more. I think that there have been a few brands that have used it early and used it well. Obviously Starbucks was kind of the pioneer. You saw McDonald's jump into the game as well. And I think a lot of the, smaller, larger brands and mid-sized brands are going to start using AI technology to kind of really redefine that customer journey and customer experience. How can they, without any friction in the customer process, get people to spend more money that seem very natural in the order flow? How can we do a better job of predicting customer lifetime value, either via, app interaction or credit card transactions? I think you're just going to see smarter marketers moving forward. I think there's also a possibility of, really AI taking over how we would predict different menu items coming out and what that could look like based off of past data, past order history, et cetera. And so I think AI is going to be the biggest thing. I think, it's a term that's thrown around a lot in the industry, whether it be restaurant or retail. And I think it's a term that people try to use. Some people are scared of it. Some people use it and they don't really know what it means. But I think the best companies will succeed if they figure out how to use AI the right way and create a tech stack or data lake that really helps support that vision and journey.
I think that data lake is really the spark that is changing it. For sure, AI is this curve that will make us way smarter than we ever have been before about the way we think about customers, the way that their customers interact with our restaurants, the way our employees show up, the way that our delivery people happen, the way that we order. We're really starting to see, different segments of that growing throughout the industry. You're seeing different groups work on different parts of that little siloed, and as they get smarter and smarter and join together, that'll be a real robust system. It's exciting to see. Well, I got to tell you, I am excited about having you on here. Look forward to having you on some more. I'm honored. I really am honored. Your wisdom and experience is great. You have some depth and weight to what you're saying, and I'm grateful, Andy, for you joining me today, and look forward to having you on the show again.
Really appreciate it. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks for joining us. My name is Anthony Amunategui, always looking for people to bring insight into the industry, finding ways to inspire people to have amazing careers in the development world. If you liked our podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. If you really liked our podcast, make sure you hit the little bell. Thanks again for listening. Please share it with your friends.